Good morning. Welcome back to the course of software testing methodologies. This is Arvind Egireddy from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today, we are going to see the brief introduction to the testing and the need for testing. At the end of this particular video, we will be able to understand what is the importance of testing and debugging. As we know that software is becoming complex, but the demand for the quality in software products has been increased. And this led to customer awareness for the quality, and there is a huge increase in the workload and responsibility of the software development team. So is that the software testing has gained so much of popularity in the last decades. Jobs trend has been shifted from development to testing stage. And today the software quality assurance and the software testing courses are being offered in many of the educational institutions. Now, coming to the purpose of testing. So here, testing which is going to consume at least half of the time and the work required to produce a functional program. And many believe that they have a myth that good programmers always write code without bugs, which is absolutely wrong. Because histories repeatedly say that even a well-written program still have 1 to 3 bugs per 100 statements. So, to have a good productivity and quality in software, in the production of consumer goods and other products, every manufacturing stage is subjected to quality control and testing from components to final stage. And if at all, if we are going to discover any flaws at any stage, then that product is either discarded or it is being cycled back for rework and correctness. So here, the productivity is measured by some of the costs of the material, the rework, and the discarded components, and the cost of quality assurance and testing. So there is a trade-off between the quality assurance costs and the manufacturing cost. And for suppose if the sufficient time is not being spent in the quality assurance, then the rejected rate will be very high, and so will be the cost of the net cost. So if the rejection rate increases, almost the net cost also goes very high along with it. And for suppose if we increase the inspection, that is if we are doing more testing, then the inspection cost will be dominating the net cost. So again, the cost of the product will get increased. And if we see testing and quality assurance costs for the manufactured items, it is been identified that in consumer products, it is 2%. So it is very low. Whereas coming to nuclear reactors or artifacts or NASA, there the testing cost is 80%. So here, the biggest part of software cost is nothing but the cost of bugs, the cost of detecting them, the cost of correcting them, the cost of designing tests that discover them, and the cost of running those tests. So for better software, quality and productivity are distinguishable because the cost of software copy is trivial. Coming to testing, testing and design are part of the quality assurance and should also be focused on bug prevention. As we know that there is a great saying, prevention of bug is better than detecting and correcting the bug. That is, prevention is better than cure. Now, coming to the phases of testers, we can categorize them into 5 phases. At phase 0, until 1956, it is debugging oriented. There was no much difference between the testing and debugging. And in phase 0, thinking was the norm in the early days of software development, as testing emerged as just as a discipline. Whereas in phase 1, that is from era 1957 to 1978, we call it as a demonstrated oriented. So here, the purpose of testing is to show that the software is working. So in the late 1970s, their main focus was to show that the software is working. So they used to test only to show that the software is testing. For suppose if you go to any electrical shop or for buying any bulb, what they do? Before giving that particular product, they will show that the bulb is glowing. So they don't think of testing the quality, whether it is going to work for 10 years, 2 years, or 3 years, or 1 month, like that. Just at that particular instant of time, it is working or not. That is the only motive behind while selling that particular product. So in 1957 and 1978, demonstration oriented, they only show us the demonstration, that is whether it is working or not. So this failed because the probability of showing that the software works decreases as the testing goes increased. Now coming to phase 2, from 1979 to 1982, this is destruction oriented. So here, the main purpose of testing is to show that the software does not work. So what happens? Always they try to, whenever they do testing, they will try to identify some errors in that particular software. So that because of identifying errors always, that particular software never gets released into the market. So here, as the bug corrected may also lead to another bug. So this is that's the reason we say that this particular phase is as a destruction oriented. Now coming to phase 3, that is from 1983 to 1987, we call it evaluation oriented. Here, the purpose of testing is not to prove anything, whether it is a demonstration oriented or destruction oriented. So here, the only purpose of testing is to reduce the perceived risk of not working to and making that as an acceptable value. Here, the notation is that testing does improve the product to the extent that testing catches the bugs and to extent those bugs are fixed. So here, the product is released when the confidence on that product is very high enough. So that's the reason we call this as an evaluation oriented. And coming to phase 4, from year 1988 to 2000, we call this particular thing as prevention oriented. Here, testability is the factor that is considered. One reason is to reduce the labor for testing, and the other reason is to check the testable and non-testable code. So here the testable code, which will has fewer bugs than the code that is hard to test. So here identifying the testing techniques to test the code is the main key. Now coming to test design. We know that the software code which must be designed and tested, but it may appear to be unaware of we have to be aware that the tests themselves must be designed and tested. So whatever the testing we do or whatever the testing tools we are going to use, the testing tools need to be designed and we need to see that the testing tools are working properly or not. So here we can say that testing is not everything. So there are so many other approaches other than testing so that we can create a better software. So here the different other methods other than testings, they include inspection methods. So methods like walkthroughs, desk checking, formal inspections, and code reading. So these are the different inspection methods what we have to use for testing the bugs, so that whenever we caught the bugs, those bugs cannot overlap completely. And the second methodology is design style. So while designing the software itself, we have to adopt the stylistic objectives such as testability, openness, and clarity, so that we can prevent those bugs. And the third method, statistical analysis methods, which include formal analysis of the source code during the compilation. And in the earlier days, it is a routine job of the programmer to do. But now the compilers have taken over that particular job. Next, we have to see the languages. What are the different languages what we are using for developing that particular application? So depending on the language itself, we are going to use different types of tools. So for all languages, we are not going to use one simple tool for testing it. So different languages have different testing tools. So that if you know what is the source language, then that can help us to reduce certain kinds of bugs. And the programmers often they find new bugs while using new languages. And next, development methodologies and the development environment. So this is most important. So where we are developing, what is the developing environment, and what are the methodologies what we are following. So here the development process and the environment in which that methodology we are developing is embedded and can prevent many kinds of bugs. If the environment is not good, if there is, for example, if in a team, two team members, if they are not happy with each other, so one will be writing the program and the other will be modifying that particular program. So when you compile the program, you are going to identify so many mistakes. So here, for developing any application, there should be an healthy environment between the developers. So the development environment need to be fine. Then only we can develop the product. So there should be a good understanding between the team who is involved in developing that particular product. Now, let us see some of the differences between testing versus debugging. So here we will see the differences that is dichotomies. So here, the first one is testing versus debugging. Even though many people, they consider both are same, the purpose of testing is to show that the program has bugs. And the purpose of testing is to find the errors or misconception that the programs fail only due to the design and the way how we are implementing these programs. Whereas debugging, they usually follow the testing, but they differ as to goals, methods, and most importantly, physiology. So here, let us see one by one the main difference between the testing and debugging. Testing starts with the known conditions and it uses predefined procedures and has predictable outcomes. Whereas debugging starts from possibly unknown initial conditions and at the end cannot be predicted except statistically. So here, while testing, we know what to test. So what is the input, and for that particular input, what is the output? So for example, suppose I have written a program or I have developed a software for finding out designed an application for finding out the factorial of a number. And I have given the input as 5. I got the output. And I don't know the output. Then I cannot judge it. Suppose if I type in my application 5, the meaning is that I want to find out the factorial of 5. So when I write 5, I should know that while testing, the answer for 5 factorial is 120. Suppose if I get other than 120, I need to say that that application is not working properly. That particular software or the program code, what I have written or the logic for that particular code is not working properly. So the testers, they know what is the input and what should be the output. Whereas the debugging, that starts from possibly unknown initial conditions. So we don't know how to correct that bug, where to start, where exactly is the problem. We know that the problem has arrived. Now our intention is to correct that particular bug. So we don't know how much time it is going to correct for or rectifying that particular bug. So here, the one more major difference between testing and debugging is testing can and should, and it need to be planned. It should be planned. And it should be designed and it should be scheduled. Whereas in debugging, the procedures and the duration of the debugging cannot be so constrained. And coming to next point, testing is a demonstration of errors or apparent correctness, whereas debugging is deductive process. And testing always talks about programmer's failure. So when we test, we always, our intention, that the reason behind testing is to find out the faults in it. Whereas debugging is programmer's vindication. That is, we are going to justify that particular program. We have the debugging. By debugging that particular failure, we are going to give solution. We are going to justify. We are going to give a particular solution to that particular problem or the bug what we have identified. So next difference between the testing and debugging is testing as it executes should strive to be predictable, dull, constrained, rigid, and inhuman. Whereas debugging demands for intuitive leaps, experimentation, and freedom. So here, much testing can be done without the design knowledge. So the one who is going to test it, he may not have any knowledge. So here we can better give an general example. So suppose one item is being prepared and we need to say that whether that particular item's taste is good or not. So one person had come, he had tasted it and he said that no, it is not good. There is more salt, or it is very hot, or the taste is not good, it is smelling. So for that, the particular person who is commenting or who is saying, who is testing it, does not or need not know how to cook it. But if it is a debugger, so here debugging is impossible without detailed design knowledge. For the same example, suppose if salt is more, then what is the alternative? So the alternative is to maybe we can put tomato into that, more tomato, so that the saltness of that particular curry may get reduced. So to do that, to give justification to the item that is being prepared, the person who is debugging, he must have a knowledge. So what has to be added so that the taste of that particular thing can get increased. So here the debugger or the debugging is impossible without a detailed knowledge of design knowledge. And one more important thing is, here the testing is often being done by an outsider, because for testing there is no knowledge required. That's the reason nowadays, if we see that people with no knowledge in any of these languages, they learn testing tools and they get the job. So the person who is testing, he may not know what is Java, what is C, or what is the DBMS. So no knowledge is required. Just he must know how to implement that testing tools. So for that reason, people nowadays, they are doing the courses on testing tools and they are getting the jobs without knowing Java, C, C++, or .NET, or any other Python, big data, data sciences, machine learning, anything. Whereas here, the debugging must be done by the insider, because he is the one who is going to correct it, debug the program. So without having the knowledge about that particular language or about that particular application, he cannot correct it. So here the debugger must be an insider. He must have an knowledge on the application, what he is correcting. So here there are some more differences. So for suppose much of the text execution and designing can be automated. So we have so many automated tools for testing and debugging. So, but still automated debugging is still a dream. So debugging, for correction or for correcting, for finding the errors, we have automated tools. For debugging that particular bug, we don't have any automated tools. It is still, it is been as a dream. Understood? Now let us see few more differences between functions versus structure. So here tests can be designed from functional or a structural point of view. So in functional testing, the programmer or system is treated as a black box. So when I say black box, we know that we are going to have an subjected input and we know what should be the output, because we are going to test this particular black box. So here the functional testing takes up the user's point of view, bother both about the functionalities and its behavior. Whereas coming to structural testing, which does look at the implementation details, so things such as programming style, what is the controlling methodologies what we are using, what is the source language, and what is the database design, and what is coding details. So all these things we are going to see when coming to structural testing. So here both structural and functional tests, of course, they are useful, but both have their own limitations, and both target on different kinds of bugs. Here, the functional tests can detect all the bugs, but would take infinite time to do so. Whereas coming to structural tests, they are inherently finite, but of course, we may not detect all the errors even after completely executing. Now, let us see one more difference between the designer versus testers. Here, the test designer is the person who designs the tests, whereas the tester is the other one who actually tests the code. So during functional testing, the designer and the tester are probably the different persons, but whereas coming to during the testing, the tester and the programmer merge into one person. So for functional, the person who is designing and who is testing, the person may be a different person. Whereas for doing the structural tests, it is both the persons, the designer and the tester, both need to be one and the same. Now let us see what is the major difference between the modularity versus efficiency. Here, a module, when I mean a module, it is a discrete, it is a well-defined small component of a system. And whenever we have a smaller modules, it is very difficult to integrate. And if suppose if modules are large, then it is difficult to understand. Of course, when we are going to divide it into a small modules, testing will be very easy. We can easily identify the bugs. We can easily rectify those bugs. But when all these modules, when we integrate, it's not necessary that it is going to work properly, because see, individually these modules may work effectively and efficiently, but when we integrate them, again what we have to do is we have to see that after integrating whether they are working properly or not. So at modular stage, individual small units, we perform, in general we perform unit testing. After integration, we have to perform the integration testing. Now let us see what is small versus large. So when we say that programming is large, which means that constructing programs that consists of many components and that are being written by different programmers. Whereas when I talk that the programming is small, means that program, that what we are saying small, is being developed for personal use by a single person for his own office. Here, the quality and quantitative changes occur with size. And when we say that it is a large, then the testing methodologies and the quality criteria that need to be different when compared to testing for small programs. Now, finally, let us see the difference between the builder versus buyer. So here, most softwares is written and used by the same organization. Unfortunately, this situation is dishonest because it clouds to accountability. If there is no separation between the builder and the buyer, then there will not be any accountability. So if, always the products what we buy is not meant for us. Item I am cooking, that does not mean that that item what I have cooked is for me. Maybe I am cooking to sell that item what I have cooked. Maybe I have a hotel. So similarly, the software that is being developed, it may be for their own use, or it may be for the others. So here we have to understand the different roles, like who is a builder, who is a buyer, who is a user, who is an tester, who is an operator. So the builder is one who designs the system and who is going to have the accountability to the buyer. And the buyer is the one who pays for that system in the hope of profits and providing services. Whereas the user ultimately is the beneficiary or the victim of that particular system. And here the user's interests are being guarded by the operator or builder or buyer. And here the testers are the persons who is dedicated to the builder's destruction. So always they comment something upon that particular product. And here the innocent people are these operators who has to live with the builder's mistakes, and they have to satisfy the buyers and users, that is service providers. So here, this is the brief introduction to testing and the need for testing. So that's all for now. I hope you understood the concepts. Please watch my videos. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for the latest notifications. Thank you.